One of the most important questions facing the church today is not simply how to attract people back to church buildings. The real question is this: how are we helping people grow into passionate followers of Jesus? At this year's Synod Assembly, we reflected on how discipleship is changing, how it is getting back to its roots of being more relational, more contextual, and more expansive than what we might have once imagined. For many years, discipleship often centered around inherited congregational patterns: Sunday worship, Sunday school, confirmation classes, choirs, youth groups, Bible studies. And true, these practices have formed generations of faithful people, and they all remain deeply valuable practices. But today, many people are searching for faith, meaning, belonging, and spiritual depth in new ways and in new places. And this reality doesn't mean the work of discipleship is disappearing. It just means that how we do discipleship is evolving, and so should we. Throughout Synod Assembly, we explored the idea of a mixed ecology of church, a way of understanding how inherited church and emerging expressions of Christian community can and really need to exist side by side, strengthening one another rather than competing. Traditional congregations continue to offer sacramental life, theological depth, stability, and intergenerational community. At the same time, new expressions of ministry are cultivating spaces where people can encounter Christ in places and ways they maybe never had expected. Gather Austin is one example. Created as young adult faith communities, Gather offers spaces for worship, holy conversations, and community building among young adults across the city of Austin. Importantly, Gather is not intended to replace congregations. Instead, it helps participants remain connected to faith and community during seasons of life when many young adults feel isolated or disconnected. Other ministries like Embodied Grace invite people to encounter God through ancient practices of movement, presence, and relationship in ways that connect with people who may never walk through a church door. And what these ministries share is rootedness in community, gospel-drenched storytelling, fellowship, and prayer. Discipleship is not simply information transfer. It is becoming more Christ-like together. That kind of formation happens in worship, and it happens also in meals. It happens in conversations, and it happens in acts of service. It happens in church buildings and online and in coffee shops and on hiking trails. Synod Assembly reminded us that discipleship is not about preserving one single way of being church. It is about helping people encounter the living Christ in authentic community. And perhaps one of the most helpful things we know is this: people are still spiritually hungry. They are still searching for meaning and purpose. They are searching for belonging and being known. The invitation before us is not simply to protect our inherited forms of being church, nor is it to abandon them. The invitation is to be fully Lutheran by holding together both tradition and innovation with humility and trust, because tradition gives us roots and innovation gives us reach. As followers of Jesus, we are called to pay attention to where the Spirit is already bringing life. And then we get to join in on the adventure because God is still awakening faith in people, still growing disciples, still forming community, still gathering people. And that means, my friends, we are still becoming.